Hello and welcome to another episode of One Fall WrestleCast. The Royal Rumble happened this weekend. Interesting. Some people liked it, some people didn't. A lot of things happened leading up to the Royal Rumble. A lot of things happened during the pay-per-view. Tom and I are going to not really dig too deep into the Rumble, but we're definitely going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the fallout from the Royal Rumble and what this means for the road to WrestleMania. And unless you're living under a rock, Vince McMahon has officially resigned from all duties within TKO Holdings Group due to a little bit of a legal scandal going on. I don't know. I think that it's probably going to be pretty Vinnie Mac heavy tonight. We'll see how she goes here in a second. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Welcome to the One Fall WrestleCast.
What's up, bud?
Nothing.
Are we even like? Hey, yeah. Listen. So, full disclosure, I came in here and I booted up the computer and I sat down and there's Tom wearing the same fucking thing I'm wearing. So one of us had to lose the flannel, and I elected for that to be.
You should have left it on. It would have been better.
Nah, I mean it was funny, but I get a little warm down here anyway, so
it's fine.
Plus,
but it was hilarious.
I've got the vibe going this evening.
Sure do.
I figured let's bring that back. I really enjoy that feel. Whenever we start talking about wrestling. Hey, pal, I'm real disappointed in you.
In me? What'd I do?
Oh, bro, I just slid one right by you in the intro.
Would you slide by me?
Duty.
The duty? No, I saw that. I caught you there. I caught that. I just didn't.
It didn't pop you.
I didn't pop. It didn't pop. But that was. I was trying to be. I had words in my head, and I'm like, you know what? We'll get there. We'll get there. That's
we
what
will
I said.
get there.
That's what I said in my head.
We will get there. We will get there. So hey, Tom and I had our annual Royal Rumble watch along party on Saturday night.
Sure
shout out, to the women, making sure that the children were in good shape. It was nice to finally get to put a face to a name. Really enjoyed that. Hopefully I wasn't too much. I don't think I was. I thought I was pretty well behaved.
No, you were perfectly well behaved.
I didn't even really say fuck all that much. So I mean,
it was fun. Ashley thought you were great, by the way.
Hashtag winning.
Hashtag winning, exactly.
Hey, listen, I'm just out here living my best fat life. You know what I mean?
Hey, we aren't we all? We did. We got some wings back
down at Archie's on the south side downtown.
Actually sat at the bar this year and they put the TV on right in front of us and fantastic. The subtitles, so we knew what was going on the whole time.
Fantastic.
That was. I think we really stepped it up a notch this year.
Yeah, definitely. Because
we walked into Ruggers first, and they had a WrestleMania party advertised, but that place was packed as hell. I don't know that I've been in a closet that's been that full of people before.
No, listen, I think that. The vibe's probably right in there, you know what I'm saying? But like to me, wasn't there like somebody like trying to try out for a rugby team in Australia or some shit?
Yeah, so there was a fundraiser going on in the back too, and this place wasn't. It was like my office, like times two.
And hey, shout out because they had rugby folk fucking wall to wall.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, it was pretty pretty full of people. So we
Yes.
we wandered into Archie's, found a good spot in front of the bar, right in front of a TV, right in front of the plasma. Archie put it on and sat with us and watched it. Pretty much, at least for the Rumbles, he sat with us and watched them.
Yeah.
And we ate some wings, we got some fries, we got a bunch of beers, and it was
glorious.
2 thumbs way up. Yeah, I don't think I could have had a better time. Truth be told,
it was great. It was great. So, awesome. Obviously that seems to be me and Tom's new deal. 2 years without Derek, and then the motherfucker not here tonight. And then he doesn't understand why we relegated him to friend of the show. You know what I mean? Like
we tried. I asked him in the morning. You were like, "Can I pick you up?" I asked him again. Like
I called him.
It wasn't like he was. It wasn't like he wasn't invited 4+ times.
Right. You know what though? I mean, it's not, I get it. Kind of, sort of. Maybe he just didn't want to say it, but like, the whole bar thing.
Yeah, I guess I get it. I understand, but
is what it is, pal. Good for him. Good for him. I do miss him though. I'm really upset that he's not here to at least talk about the Royal Rumble, but that's just fine. Yeah, that's just fine and dandy. You know what? The two of us will do our due diligence in breaking down what we saw at the Rumble. A couple thoughts, couple crises, couple comments, couple concerns, and I'm sure that those concerns will lead us into the meat and potatoes of the evening. So, overall, what'd you think about the Rumble, bro?
Honestly, I feel like I have a higher opinion of it than a lot of people do. After talking with people, I really liked everything. The 2 matches in the middle between the Rumble, I kind of I understand why they were on a pay-per-view, but they didn't feel to me to be necessarily Royal Rumble pay-per-view Big 4 quality matches. That Fatal 4-Way certainly could have been just a good Friday Night SmackDown main event.
Oh Jesus! Roman doesn't wrestle on SmackDown,
and that's part of the problem.
Come on, man.
With that, and that's part of the problem.
That's what makes that title fucking great right now.
Okay, but then it should be a one-on-one. It shouldn't be a fatal. But I get it. I understand. I watched all the shows.
A lot of people said that's lazy booking on Triple H's part.
I mean, I might agree with that. It felt a little lazy to me, but that's neither here nor there. I knew it was going to happen, and it happened. I liked all the guys in the match. I enjoyed the match for what it was, but it was one of those things where it was like, how you like you watch a thing and you already know how it's going to end. But you watch it anyway. That's what that was. Yeah. Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul had an interesting little swerve there at the end with the brass knucks. But I thought that was a good match overall. I really did think Kevin deserved to take it.
I already told you, pal. Already told you.
I would have preferred if Kevin would have took it, and then maybe they have another little bout at Mania. But I guess Logan Paul's got more dates in the more dates to fill up and more dates that he wants to wrestle. So however
word on the street is he signed a new contract, and it is for full-time work.
Yeah, so I mean that's fine, and if that's going to be the case, and he's going to be around, okay, cool. I mean, I'm interested to see what happened. I would say don't necessarily let my fantasy booking take over. I thought that match was good, but I thought the Rumbles were great. I really enjoyed the men's Rumble. Seemed a little rushed to me. I think they were a little pressed for time, but I thought the women's Rumble was fantastic. That was probably. Yeah, they were a little pressed for time. The women's Rumble, I thought was. Did you time it? How long did it take? I feel like it took an hour. It went an hour and some change.
They were churning them motherfuckers out there, bro. We sat down. So full disclosure. So we made the executive decision to leave after leave Archie's to head back to Tom's house. right
didn't want
after.
to keep Sarah too late. It was already
Yeah, for sure. So we bugged out. Tom said, "Hey man, I've got beer at the house. Okay, let's go there." Right. So we left at the end of the Logan Paul Kevin Owens match and got back to Tom's house, and they were on entrant number 9 in the men's Royal Rumble, which seems like a fair amount of time, to get through 9 folks. But I swear, as soon as we sat down and we kicked our feet back, 10, 11, 12, and 13 were in the ring before I even cracked my beer open.
Yeah, it was like we were sitting down, getting situated, and yeah, there were 4 people in the ring in like a minute and a half.
Yeah, it was absurd, and and that was to set up number 15 for Cody to come out, I guess, and give him a little bit of proper time. Yeah, Cody Rhodes, your men's Royal Rumble winner, back-to-back years. What's that? He's like the 3rd person to do it. Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels.
I think he's 4th.
And
Stone
Orton
Cold,
did it.
Shawn Michaels.
It's either Orton or Batista. I can't remember.
I think it was Orton and Roman. Okay, then it was Orton and Batista. Yeah. Because Blue Tista won. Blue Tista won the second one. Remember, Blue T got booed. Or maybe that was the first one. Blue Tista one, but he got booed.
So, hey man, you think he's gonna finish the story?
Now I'm not sure. I feel like maybe. Now, so you and I have talked about this a little bit, but I feel like there's two possible scenarios, right? I mean, clearly Cody's in the main event, WrestleMania against Roman.
Yes.
If The Rock is also in the main event with Roman and Cody, because Cody will be there to make sure the match, because The Rock can't go Roman and The Rock and have that be a WrestleMania quality main event. They just can't. They got to put Cody in there too to take some.
Why is that, Tom? Why is that?
Because The Rock gets blown up just doing his little spine buster, people's elbow deal. He's blown up. So Cody's got to be there to sort of pad the wrestling aspect of the main event there. And I feel like what's going to happen if The Rock weasels his way in there is that Roman's going to pin The Rock on a triple threat match. And the Usos Jimmy Uso and Solo will hold back. We'll hold back Cody, and then so there'll be that, and then there'll be more back and forth till SummerSlam, and then Cody will finish the story at SummerSlam. But if The Rock inserts himself, Cody ain't finishing the story at WrestleMania. They're going to try to sell tickets using The Rock versus Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes because everybody loves him too. So it's like, hey, you want to see your 3 favorite people fight each other? Of course you do. WrestleMania. Ta-da. So I guess we'll see what happens. But if The Rock does not insert himself, I think Cody finishes the story.
So I guess Friday is going to be the telltale sign for that, right? Because Roman's generally at the SmackDown after a pay-per-view, to do his thing, and he tells you about it too every time he gets in the ring. You know the drill. Saturday, we wreck them. Friday, we talk shit about them, right? Like, I gotta feel like Cody's gonna just out of nowhere, right? Because they very much laid that foundation on Saturday at the Rumble.
Well, he's pointing at the sign, yelling, "Roman, I'm coming for you, Roman!" He's pointing at the WrestleMania sign, and he's yelling for Roman. So yeah, I think that's happening.
So Cody's gonna come out on Friday, and I think we'll know Friday if The Rock's gonna be involved.
I mean, on Friday we might. Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
I do. I think Friday is going to be a big deal.
Is The Rock going to do some lame shit where he's like, Friday night douchebag? Is he going to do that? I sure
hope not, bro, because
that's terrible.
I'm done with that, bro.
Man, that was the worst. That's been thus far. I've watched almost every Raw. I think I've watched every Raw this year. That's been the worst Raw segment this year. It may have been the worst Raw segment of the last 12 months. It was very bad.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was the worst segment. The Rock just made it cringy. I think that
that's why it was bad.
I think that Jinder deserves a little bit of love and respect for what happened in that segment. He carried the Rock. You know what I'm saying?
He sure did.
I mean, sorry, not sorry. Like, I don't. SmackDown on the 2nd is in Birmingham, Alabama. So I don't know. Finally, The Rock has returned to Birmingham, Alabama. Doesn't really roll off the tongue. So maybe we won't see The Rock on Friday.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see The Rock on Friday. Maybe we'll see The Rock next time they're somewhere close to California.
The problem with that is that we don't see Roman that much. Even in the lead up to WrestleMania, we've got to get to Elimination Chamber first.
Yeah.
So I think that you're going to plant the Cody seed, right? Like the Cody thing's going to happen, but we got to get through Elimination Chamber before we start to see anybody, really for WrestleMania. But I'm just shooting myself in the foot over here with my argument. But regardless, man, like I don't know. I think I could do without the triple threat. Let's just let Cody finish the story because I don't know this thing's gonna have enough legs until fucking SummerSlam.
I mean, I agree with you. I don't disagree with your logic at all. However, I know what looks better on a WrestleMania marquee, and putting The Rock on the WrestleMania marquee is a better. It's going to sell more pay-per-views, and if they can get The Rock to do it, then that's what they're going to do.
Nah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying. I don't know. I don't think WrestleMania needs The Rock at this point.
I don't think it does either. I don't think it changes the. I don't think it does much for the numbers. Truth be told, but I think if they can get him, they're gonna, and that just seems.
So that leaves us with some problems coming out of the Royal Rumble, right? Overall, I thought the show was great. The women's Royal Rumble, and we'll, I think that we're all in agreement that Jade Cargill looked like $1 million.
She did, and her facing down with Bianca Belair was like I didn't know I wanted to see it, but after I watched it, I'm like, Bianca could absolutely carry her through a feud, and it would be great.
Yeah. I'm into it. I think it'll be great.
Me too.
And then obviously the surprise entrance, Jordan Grace for the TNA Knockouts champion. Man, she looked like $1 million.
Oh, she looked absolutely like she belonged. She was crisp. She was clean. Everything she did looked strong. She took bumps really well. I thought she was.
You know what's awesome? Do you know what's great about that? Do you know what's awesome about that? You and I have been putting Jordan Grace over since the inception of this show as one of the top female talents outside of WWE. And the fact that she comes in front of fucking 50,000 people at St. Petersburg, fucking Tampa Bay fucking Rays stadium thing, comes out as a surprise entrant in the Rumble and made the world know who she was. She absolutely looked like she belonged. Man, she looked strong. She looked crisp. She looked powerful. Pound for pound, she looked strong. Except
she and Ivy Nile. So she and Ivy Nile did the thing where they did the suplex thing. Ivy Nile couldn't quite get her arm away, but Jordan Grace had her up and was all at the same time.
That was her. That was Ivy Nile and Jade Cargill did that.
Oh, you're right. Ivy Nile and Jade. You're right. Because Jade got hers up. Ivy.
Yes. Because Jade Cargill is a fucking stud.
Because Jade Cargill is actually strong enough to just. Yes. Listen, I think that's Jade's strength. Really, is that she's just so damn strong that it doesn't necessarily matter that she's not quite the best wrestler because she has the strength to just make it work.
Yes. but like, not to gloss over Jordan Grace, but she redeemed our opinion of her
Oh, for
over
sure.
the last couple of years, and really laid some credibility to her name. Man, she fits in, and I would love to see her in WWE sooner rather than later. And everybody's like, "Oh, this must have been a Triple H idea." Yeah, absolutely was, because the man understands what talent is.
Yeah.
Um, so kudos on her for looking like $1,000,000 and showing that she deserves to be there and that she is not less than. Um,
Yeah.
so shout out to Jordan Grace. And let's circle back. Let's talk about Jade a little bit more. I think that she had a little bit of nerves there. She had a spot with Nia Jax where she kind of dropped her, and it's kind of hard to. Then they did like this, like, I don't know, this test of strength thing, but it wasn't like you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Really hard to like put her over, when something like that happens. But R-Truth fucking entered the women's Royal Rumble.
That was hilarious.
You know, he's like a fine wine. He just gets better with age. And then I believe the rightful winner won in one Bailey.
I
And
called it.
yeah, you did. And I didn't disagree with it, but I thought maybe we would strap the Rocket to Jade, or I that was kind of my thought process. But Bailey was a strong number 2 there, and she absolutely deserved to win. And I can't wait until she evolutions Damage Control and challenges Io Sky for the Women's World Championship, which will be a great WrestleMania match between the two of them. I believe. So,
Bailey's the GOAT. Like that's it's hard. She's sort of like underappreciated. I feel like booking wise, she's a little underappreciated as far as how she's booked. But like, she is legitimately like the best in ring, one of the best on the mic, just consistently excellent. Consistently, like, you put her in a segment and it's like, oh, Bailey's going to carry this segment regardless of what happens here, because she's just that good. And I'm ready for more. I'm ready for another Bailey title run. I don't know about you. I'm ready for another Bailey title run.
No, I'm into it, because I think Bailey deserves a chance to have a good, solid singles run by herself, which she's really not had. I mean, you figure Sasha was in the picture for the first time. That's another thing we didn't get with Sasha Banks, which I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But anyways, she's not had a chance to just kind of be that shining star on her own. So she's always had a sidekick or a buddy or whatever you want to call it. So kudos to her, man. I hope it works out, and I hope her and Io put on a banger at WrestleMania, because it's probably going to be the main event for fucking night 1, because we have so much turmoil coming out of the men's Royal Rumble. Obviously we just talked about Roman, Cody, and The Rock, what that's going to look like. But we've got a couple problems. So obviously going into WrestleMania, we are still unaware of what the status of one Seth frickin' Rollins is with his torn MCL. Now, they're definitely lending us to believe that they are taking the let's wait and see attitude with Rollins to kind of see how everything shakes out. But I think that in the grand scheme of things, we all kind of thought that it was going to be Rollins and Punk, Tom.
We did think that. That made the most sense.
We
had some bad news today.
We did get some bad news today. CM Punk has apparently torn his triceps muscle.
Well, he has. He came out and said it on Raw tonight.
Did he? Okay. See, I've not watched yet. I do, and then I circle back and watch.
It's torn
again.
It's the other one. It's the left one this time.
Needs to hit them skull crushers in the gym, bro.
He needs to hit him. He needs to hit him and not tear a tricep in the midst of it. I'm not sure how he did it, but Jesus Christ, man! I feel like this guy's got as many injuries as he has matches since he came back to wrestling.
Man. I mean, it's hard out here when your bones have your bones hurt, and you're old and you're tired and you work with fucking children. Sometimes things hurt and things break like a dry rotted rubber band. You've not used these things in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't
So you're saying CM
necessarily
Punk's,
surprise me.
so you're saying CM Punk's triceps are dry rotted rubber bands?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That checks out.
Yeah. I mean,
That
clearly.
checks
I mean, clearly.
out.
Clearly, April.
There you go.
It seems as though I have torn my triceps again. Shall you phone Paul for me so that we can relay the horrific news? Unless he wants to do a ligament on a pole match against Seth Rollins.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
Oh.
That'll be a great SummerSlam main event, though.
Yeah, it looks like that's what we're gonna get. Looks like that's when it's gonna happen.
So, kind of. Yeah, I mean, it sucks from the standpoint that it's WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
And to not have two of your marquee names, but I feel like it might have had some opportunity for some folks that may not have had any direction going into WrestleMania.
Are you talking about Kevin?
I mean, I'm hoping I'm not talking about Kevin.
Maybe not him. Maybe there's other people.
I mean, coming out of the Rumble, Drew McIntyre's status is in the air. What's that going to look like?
So Drew actually came out and during CM Punk's promo tonight and was like, "I'm happy that you're hurt." Like, that's what Drew was saying. So I think that immediately just like clicks Drew in as like, nope, Drew's the guy. These guys are hurt. Drew ain't hurt. Drew's the guy. And yeah, so I think Drew's a lock in for that other championship. I think Drew's a lock in for that. Whether he wins it at Mania against Seth, whether he gets beat by Seth, maybe Seth doesn't come back. Maybe Drew has to win it. Maybe Drew fights. I don't know. Maybe Dolph Ziggler will show up. Who knows? But I feel like that's the spot for Dolph Ziggler, right? To like just.
I mean, yeah, but Nick is living his best life in TNA.
Well, that's fine and good for him.
Yeah, absolutely, great for him. Fantastic for him. I hope it really, really works out because he deserves that opportunity.
But no, it looks like Drew's going to be one of the guys, if not the guy.
So have you thought about this scenario? What if the World Heavyweight Championship is not featured at WrestleMania?
I've thought about that because I was like, oh, what if they just don't? I don't think they're gonna. I don't think that's a possibility. Not with Triple H at the helm. I think that if it's clear by Elimination Chamber that Seth is not going to be able to go at WrestleMania, although I part of me like I kind of think Seth's going to be able to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure whether it's a smart decision or not. I mean, the guy is a freak, right? He's a John Cena level freak. So I'm kind of thinking it's just going to be fine and Seth's going to be able to go. And it's just going to be Seth and Drew at WrestleMania. I'm not saying Seth's going to win at WrestleMania. But I am saying that I just think Seth's going to be for me right now, if you were to say, Tom, who do you think is going to fight Seth Rollins at WrestleMania? Drew Rollins, or who do you think is going to be in the World Heavyweight title match at WrestleMania? I'm going to say it's going to be Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. Now I don't know who's going to win, but I'm saying that's what the match is going to be. I'm convinced with that. As long as Seth can go, it's going to be Seth and Drew, because CM Punk's not going to be able to go. It's just it's not going to happen. He's too old. It takes too much time to rehab that. I don't expect to see CM Punk till SummerSlam.
Yeah. No, it's 1,000%.
So,
but I don't know. You just plug Drew McIntyre right into that spot. I mean, he's just lost to Seth twice. Like, I don't know how you can just. He's not plug and play.
Well, I think you let him beat him. I think you have him beat him. I think you have him win the Elimination Chamber, and then you have him beat Seth. Then you give Seth some time off to finish rehabbing his knee. Drew's a safe hand. Let's be fair too.
No,
Drew's not like Drew's not about to rip Seth's leg off and chuck it into the into the crowd either. Like I think you have him work the knee a little bit, and that you have the storyline be maybe Seth wasn't ready to come back, and you have Drew beat him. And then you move on from it. You let Drew have a little title run. When Seth gets back, give him some time off. When he gets back, have him fight Punk because neither of those guys need titles to fight each other at SummerSlam and make that important. You know what I mean? Make it a big deal.
Not at all. Be a personal grudge match.
So you let them do that, and move on and go. Let Drew fight other people, and because Drew can be a day-to-day champion, just like Cody can, and just like Cody will be. And I think, at this point, we kind of maybe need to get back to that a little bit. I think that's where we are. That's where I am with this as of this moment. Obviously, things can change. That's how wrestling works. That's why we love it. But right now, that's where my head is. And I would bet that's where the back office's head is right now. That's what's written down in pencil, mind you. That's where that is.
Well, I mean, where's Gunther fit into all of this, bro?
He's still the Intercontinental Champion.
Okay, he's still the baddest man on the roster right now, too.
He's the baddest man, but I mean, he's still the Intercontinental Champion.
Because allegedly, we were supposed to get Gunther defending the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar.
And we might not get that.
Yeah, might not get that. And I just don't really understand why. I mean,
no,
Tom,
why might that happen?
I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to have one of your biggest draws at WrestleMania or even at the Royal Rumble like you was supposed to be.
Yeah. What could have happened there?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that, sir, because
seems like they maybe pooped all over it.
Yeah. He didn't do his duty.
No. There was the somebody did a duty.
So, in case you've been living under a rock this week,
not the Rock, not.
No,
do you smell what the Rock? No, not that kind of rock.
I mean, you got to enjoy the pun because we did just see Vinnie Mac on stage like on Monday with TKO Group. As they made the Rock part of their board, which I thought was rightful because obviously the Rock is the Rock, and the Rock is a huge fan of the UFC, and it makes sense for him to sit on the board.
Sure.
But then a couple of days later, we're all hyped for the Rumble. The Rock's on the board of directors. Life is great. TKO fucking doing the thing, and then the complaint from the sex scandal that Vince McMahon was a part of, a couple of years ago that we've already discussed, when Vince resigned the first time. We got some details that they were released to the public, including screenshots of text messages and, other really, really horrific and dare I say disgusting pictures that were painted via those text messages.
I don't know that I was old enough to read those text messages. And I'm going to be 40. We're going to be 40 this year. I don't know that I was old enough to read those messages.
So, I think that when the initial sex scandal thing came out, right, I think we were all very much of the peace of mind that this was like, some 45 to 55-year-old woman that looked really good for her age and, was like a paralegal of some sort, right? Like, and, good for Vince, out there
we just sort of assumed that
yeah,
Vince
like,
had a girlfriend that he was that he was overpaying to work for the WWE. We just sort of assumed that, right? That seemed to be the general consensus as well.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, none of this surprises me, right?
No, like we've known that Vince McMahon was a massive pervert our entire lives.
Yes.
Right? Like that's been abundantly clear. They've made jokes about it on television.
I mean, he's made jokes about it on television.
He wrote those jokes. The jokes that other people made. He wrote those. That was him.
It's funny because I was watching last night to fall asleep. I was watching the documentary on Peacock, The History of WrestleMania. And there's a couple cutaways where they're interviewing Vince, and they asked him a question about, whatever WrestleMania. You met WrestleMania 3 pulling that off from, or WrestleMania 2 pulling that off from 3 different locations, in 1985 when that type of technology, the whole thing. He was like, well, Lady Luck's always been a part of my life, both personally and professionally. And it just seemed really pervy. And like, knowing what I know now, that didn't age well, right?
No. Lots of stuff didn't age well.
So we were pretty much of the consensus that, hey, like, we understand that this news doesn't surprise us, not at all. No. However, what came out on Wednesday, or Thursday, whichever day it was Thursday. Very surprising.
Well, I don't know that it was surprising as much as it was shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking is the better word.
Yes. So we learned that the complaint.
It was TMI. We'll put it that way. It was TMI.
We've also learned through this that the complainant, one Janelle Grant, was not a 55-year-old washed-up secretary. She was a definitively attractive young woman in her late 20s.
A definitively wealthy, attractive woman in her late 20s.
Yes.
Or at least semi-well off.
So, there's a lot that happened. So this is being brought to court because we all know about the NDA that was signed between the two of them. But this is being brought to court because up to this point, one Vincent Kennedy McMahon has only paid 33% of Ms. Grant's owed $3 million.
Can't believe he cheaped out on that, because after reading this complaint, he was getting off easy with $3 million. He really was. Like, he's not getting off easy anymore. Like, he's lost a lot more than $3 million now. He should have just paid the extra $2 million, been done with it. But
yeah. Like, I don't know if this was one of those things where this has happened in the past, right? And Vince has had these people sign an NDA and then only paid like a third of what was owed, and you couldn't prove anything, right? And it's just, oh well, I got $1 million out of it. But unfortunately for one Vincent McMahon, we live in a digital age now where when you send text messages, despite your best efforts to delete them, they are still accessible.
Filthy text messages.
And if I'm one Janelle Grant signing said NDA, I absolutely keep screenshots
Yeah.
of the things in case something like this happens. And yeah, so I feel like that's where we're at, right? So, Tom, you asked me to read the complaint. I unfortunately did not. So I would love to hear a synopsis of it.
So, synopsis of the complaint. Now, if you read the complaint's available online, by the way, to all everybody that's listening right now, the complaint is available online and you can read it. However, I would urge you to read the complaint in a certain way. Now, I do have a law degree, so bear with me on this. I'm going to get a little technical with it. So this is a civil complaint. This is not a criminal complaint. So just to correct anybody in the Twitter messages or in the Twitter in the Twitter comments or the Facebook comments or whatever, this is a civil complaint, not a criminal complaint. All of the comments are Vince McMahon needs to go to jail. Oh, finally, he's going to go to jail. Blah, blah, blah. He's not going to go to jail. Nobody's going to jail. A civil complaint is purely about money. Homegirl wants to get paid. This is not a criminal complaint. Nobody has filed charges. There are no charges filed, period. We're not even talking about, oh, they don't have evidence to file charges. There have been no charges filed, period. So this is a civil complaint. This is about money. Now, that being said, this is written by an attorney who is looking to get money for his complainant.
Money.
Now, with that in context, now let's go through this. So, Janelle Grant has now filed a complaint in civil court against billionaire, and he's named as billionaire Vincent Kennedy McMahon, or Vince McMahon, I think is how he's named in the complaint, for a sexual relationship that they had. They alleged that there was sex trafficking involved, but they don't seem to ever make the, other than sort of being passed around the office. There doesn't seem to be it doesn't seem to follow any trafficking statutes that I'm aware of. However, I am not versed in Connecticut state law, so I mean there might be something that I'm not correct about. So Janelle Grant and Vince McMahon met because Janelle Grant lived in the apartment complex in which Vince McMahon owned the penthouse of. So just to put that into perspective, Vince McMahon does not live above rent-controlled apartments. Just saying. They met after Janelle Grant's parents had passed away, allegedly, and she had been looking for employment and had found employment with Mr. McMahon. Now, if you look at Janelle Grant, she is as Walt has said, a verifiably attractive woman who verifiably is living in a very expensive apartment complex in Connecticut. Now, their relationship became physical, and she did get a job with WWE way back in 2019. So this goes on for quite some time. Alleged in this complaint are, I'll go with the less inflammatory stuff at first. Alleged in this complaint, she was passed around the office as a sense to other high-ranking WWE officials for
So
the
she was a
promise
hooker.
That's what they're getting at here. Yeah, that she was a hooker. She was.
So Vinnie Mac was big pimping, baby.
Big pimping. Yeah. So he was passed around to some other high-ranking WWE executives at the time. Johnny Ace was also named in this lawsuit.
Did they name names?
Like Johnny Ace.
Just Johnny Ace? Nobody cares.
Nobody cares about Johnny Ace. But also, there is allegedly a former UFC champion who was also alleged in this lawsuit. Now, everybody seems to think that it's Brock Lesnar.
What if it was Cain Velasquez?
Or what if it was Cain Velasquez?
Nobody's talking about Cain Velasquez because this timeline. I mean,
well, also, wasn't what's his name? I want to say DC, but it's yeah.
I mean, he was doing some one-off stuff, but he wasn't.
DC was there too, but I mean, those are all. So I mean, theoretically, yeah, Cain Velasquez, DC was there.
Everybody forgot about Cain. Everybody forgot about Cain because he chased some dude down and shot him because he touched his son, and now Cain's in prison. At least I think he's still in prison, which is bullshit.
He was for a little while. I don't know that he still is, but yeah, he killed a guy, so he's in prison. So
I think he killed him.
possible.
I just think he hurt him.
Yeah. Okay.
Fucked him up.
That's fine. Fucked him up. Shot him. Bang bang. He's part of the Bang Bang gang.
Bang bang gang.
So
him and Cash Wheeler. Get in my Jeep Gladiator to go skeet skeet bang bang.
So, but the nitty gritty of this lawsuit is that
nitty gritty like Kitty Liddy.
They only wish there was Kitty Liddy. And I want to talk to you about the scenario in which, so it was alleged in this lawsuit that Vince McMahon defecated on Janelle's head.
Oh, that's good shit.
During one encounter, he defecated on her head. Now, immediately, so in reading this in the lawsuit, you're meant to believe that Vince intended to poop on this girl. But then she finished blowing Johnny Ace or whatever was supposed to happen. Let's be fair.
Let's stop. Let's stop. Okay. Because let's just talk about how preposterous that this is, right? Like,
you're right.
This is pretty. This sounds extremely far fetched. And friend of the show, Derek Wright would argue that it sounds so far fetched that it's unbelievable enough that this has to be true facts, right?
Right.
So
you can't make this up, but you can.
So Vince pooped on her. Because he's got a loose sphincter from roid rage and all them weights, and he's probably pinched a couple out doing some squats and shit in his day. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I'm sure that the back door is not working like it used to at 70.
So let's be fair. Let's be fair with this. At the time that this was alleged to have happened in 2021. In 2021, Vince was 76, right?
Yeah, something like that. So yeah.
We're not talking about a young man in control of his faculties. We are talking about, and you can go back to 2021, and we're like, Vince McMahon doesn't know where he fucking is. He's an old fucking man. He doesn't know where he is. He's fucking losing his shit. Like, losing his marbles. Clearly he was losing his shit. We just didn't know. But it wasn't like this shit. It was the other one. It was one.
All over that pretty girl too.
But here's what I think was happening. Can I lay this out in a what I think happened?
Yeah, I mean, don't get us canceled.
I'm not going to get us canceled because I believe all of this happened. Everything alleged in this lawsuit, I believe, happened. However, I think that the mens rea, the thought process of it, was not quite as laid out. Okay. So when you're a criminal, when you're an attorney, right, and you're looking to get money for your client, you have to paint you have to paint the plaintiff in the worst light possible, right? And Vince had already painted her, so you have to paint Vince in the worst light possible. So he has to look like a demonic, like premeditated pooper, sexual deviant pervert. Now, is Vince a sexual deviant pervert? Absolutely. No, like
yeah, man. I mean, he's talking about in some of these text messages. He's talking about her getting fucked in all the holes by big black dicks. That'll be great shit, pal. Like coming all over the place. Like, if you've not read these text messages, you need to go out of your way and go read some of these fucking.
I am not old enough to read these text messages. I'm not old enough to read these text messages. So he's talking about some wild, disgusting shit. Anyway, so here's what I think happened. Okay, Vince meets this girl in his apartment. She once hired, he once laid. She lives where he lives. Easy for him, right? Like that. Yeah, he's like, wow, pal. This is and everything we know about Vince McMahon is he is very to the point about stuff. Like he is all business. He only eats for fuel. He gets mad like when he doesn't eat for like fun. He's like just eats chicken breast and is back to work. He hates to sleep. He doesn't like when you sneeze around him because you don't have control of your faculties. Anyway, so here's what I think. So, Vince meets this girl, starts this physical relationship with her because he's a pervert. And she is into it because he is paying her buttloads of money.
Yeah.
Like he is just, she's got this was part of the lawsuit. She was getting paid 3 times what other people in her position were being paid. And she wasn't working that hard.
Oh, she was working hard. She was just working hard somewhere else.
She just wasn't doing the job,
she was doing the job.
She was doing some job, but just not that job. She was taking care of the guys that did the job. So this was going on. This is going on. This is going on. And then this alleged incident happens, right? This incident where Vince is with her and Johnny Ace because Vince is into this porn star shit. Like that's his like weird fetish. And not to kink shame Vince McMahon, but we should probably kink shame Vince McMahon. So he's into the porn star fetish thing. So he's having a threesome with her with Johnny Ace because they do that, which is fucking gross. But, so all this is going on. And somehow Vince poops in the middle of this because he's old. Not because he was trying to.
How dare you?
Like, he's old.
I'm annually challenged.
Sure. Anally challenged.
That's not what I said, pal.
Annually. He's challenged once a year?
Annually.
So, he's, there things are happening, and he poops all over this girl. In the lawsuit, Vince goes to shower off, but she allegedly also finishes off Johnny Ace while that's happening, and then Johnny Ace leaves.
It smells like poop. Oh, but it's Vince's. Oh,
exactly. Like that probably helped Johnny Ace get off, right? So Johnny Ace leaves, and then they, whatever happens after that isn't really laid out. I think that with Vince being on all his pre-workouts and his, Cialis and whatever else, fucking horse cocaine, whatever he's on that keeps him only sleeping like 3 hours a night and whatever at the time. Because this is about when he did the Pat McAfee show. Could you imagine if that was the day before he did the Pat McAfee interview? Because that was about the same time. So that happened.
That Vince McMahon interview was all over my YouTube, like suggested for you to watch this week since the news came out. Like,
so I think what happened then is that at that point in time, she told one, because it's alleged on the other side that she, prior to or when she signed the NDA or whatever, she told somebody and then her girlfriend leaked it to the press. So I think after that, she told her girlfriend, and her girlfriend was like, that old man pooped on you and you finished blowing Johnny Ace? What the fuck is wrong with you? I feel like her girlfriend shamed her after that happened.
Like girlfriend?
No, like her friend.
Oh, okay.
Like you're my friend.
I mean, I'm just saying that the things that we're talking about, okay, you got to make sure that you keep the water clean.
You're right. Well, maybe clean off with water after that happens. Get hosed down a little bit. So I think that she told a friend who shamed her. And then she felt bad. She felt shame after that friend shamed her and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And, they had this whole WWE is up for sale kind of thing kind of coming along. And Vince was like, well, okay, maybe this is a little too much. I did poop on this girl. Let's let's get this cleaned up. Right. So he's like, all right, $3 million sign this NDA. Now his fatal flaw, which we've already covered. He gives her $1 million up front. And then he stops paying like an idiot. Maybe he forgot. I don't know. But fatal flaw.
Bud, you just don't forget some shit like that. Like,
I mean, he's really old. We've not been 70 some years old though yet.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one thing to like, oh, I forgot to pay the water bill. Oh, it's a couple days late. It's another thing. Oh, I forgot. I gotta pay off that hooker. Like, that's just not the same thing, bud.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's entirely possible that Vince tried to do what he did with those territory guys, and he bought the territory and just stopped paying the installment payments and was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? She clearly wasn't going to stab him. However, this might have been worse. He might have preferred to be stabbed. Because she totally accepted the public shame. I totally just dragged her through the mud. She totally accepted the public shame. She was like, whatever. I mean, I don't disagree that Vince should have been gone long ago. Like, it shouldn't have taken like him pooping on a girl for him to retire. But that's how old. Like, can I put this into perspective? I've always seen Vince McMahon as sort of the devil, and I'm quoted as saying on this podcast that we're really lucky that Vince McMahon only decided to dominate pro wrestling and not the world, because like he would have succeeded. Where,
for sure.
Other world dictators failed. Like he just pooped on girls and like totally like took over like professional wrestling, like not the world. And we're all lucky for that, truthfully, because he did ruin lives, lots of them, just not like the whole world, just like in.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why that for the longest time the WWF, the WWE has been called the Evil Empire.
I mean, it absolutely was, and he was the head of the evil empire because he himself was evil. Like Bray Wyatt had the little devil horn Vince McMahon come out. Like,
oh, that's all of good that, shit, pal.
All of that was not like just. It was not hyperbole. That's everybody knew, right? Like, people liked the guy because he was likable and he was friendly. But he was also fucking terrible. Like, let's be fair. Vince McMahon's a terrible human. Like, I'm not trying to gloss over the fact that Vince McMahon's I'm not trying to say he's not he's a terrible person. And thankfully, like I said, he only decided to take over pro wrestling. But in this instance, he didn't pay a girl who was not afraid to be shamed publicly. And she saw her opportunity. And she took it, and kudos to her for that. I mean, clearly she earned it, because I absolutely believe all that happened.
So, without derailing this, because I want to circle back around, but I mean, yes, that's not even, that shouldn't even be a real question, even now. But like,
yeah, clearly,
leather pants, like big boob Stephanie, like in the Attitude Era, like, yeah, for sure. But right now, like, professional, brand ambassador, retired Stephanie with her business suits, like, that's another level of sexy. So yes,
I'd vote for Stephanie McMahon right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even know what party she'd run under, but I'd vote for her.
She'd probably run for. They're pretty big in the Republican Party, pal.
Yeah, they're probably Republicans. But
anywho, so obviously this comes out, and the fallout from it has just been absurd, right? Like Slim Jim immediately pulls their advertising dollars from the Royal Rumble, and you know,
Did they put
due
him
to
back after he came back? Because I didn't see that.
yes, they did.
Okay.
So Slim Jim pulls they pulled their ad revenue and said that they refuse to support a company with a poor moral compass. You know, blah 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 blah. That's not verbatim. That's just kind of what I got from it. So then Vince McMahon resigned shortly thereafter. And I wonder how much of that was an Ari Emanuel conversation. I mean, there definitely was a conversation between Ari Emanuel and Vince McMahon.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so I don't know what that looks like, but Vince McMahon resigns and Slim Jim tweets out, Slim Jim has officially entered the Royal Rumble, which I thought was fun and cheeky and cute. So Slim Jim, you know, put their money back in the pot. So we saw Slim Jim at the Royal Rumble. You know, they had the commercial spot with the car and the whole deal.
The car was sick, though. Slim Jim R34. Oh, buddy.
So somebody that was tied to the case, however, the UFC champion that we spoke of earlier, it's being implicated that it was one Brock Lesnar. So Brock Lesnar in the complaint is called a former UFC champion, and it was said something along the lines of, he wants you to send him a picture of you urinating.
No, he requested that.
Yes,
they got in contact and he requested that.
Yes, so she sends it to him, and then he tells Vince he liked what he saw.
And then he called her a bitch.
But allegedly, she was a part of Lesnar signing the contract. So WWE cut bait and bailed anything Brock Lesnar. So Brock, as we were told, was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble, and that Braun Breaker filled that spot. Allegedly, Dave Meltzer said that. And then that Dominic Mysterio eliminated Braun Breaker, who was supposed to eliminate Brock Lesnar because they were supposed to have a match at Elimination Chamber. I don't know how that works out, but that's not important because that's not the issue at hand right now. So no Brock Lesnar because of this lawsuit. Also, what's the chances that Vince releasing this statement saying that he will vigorously defend himself? At what point do we get a possible Brock Lesnar name clearing, or is this how Brock Lesnar's legacy dies?
I don't think Brock's legacy dies. I do think that that Brock gets cleared. I would say that at this point they probably told Brock to stay home just to keep any semblance of making you look at this Royal Rumble and think Vince McMahon lawsuit. They wanted to stay as far away from that as humanly possible. And the only person who may have been at the Royal Rumble who would have been named even like faintly is Brock Lesnar. So they immediately were like, no, Brock, just stay home. I'm sure Brock probably still got paid. He's like, we're just gonna let this go. We're gonna see what happens, but we can't have you here tonight. We can't have you come out. And we're just, they were in Tampa, so they just were like, they have everybody in NXT lives in Tampa. So they're just like, all right, Braun, you're in. Put your best ring gear on. You're going to do this, 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 and this. And Dominic's going to eliminate you. All right, cool. Got it. Braun Breaker looked great. He came out, did his moves, did all the spots, got eliminated. Nobody should have been any the wiser. 99.999% of people that watched will not be any the wiser.
Hey, $5 feet picks.
For who? Brock Lesnar? That's gross.
No, for us.
Ew. Also gross.
Yeah. Hey, listen, does that mean we're coming and we're moving on up? Oh. We've got porno bots.
No, she's selling $5 feet pics for less.
I mean,
So they are. So wait, hold on. So the feet pics were $5, but she's selling them for less.
maybe she's
So I'm
got
getting
4
it.
less toes. Could you imagine if it was just like a pinky toe, just like a little, and then like 4 little nubs right next to it? Huh?
That kind of sounds gross.
Try wearing a sandal with that.
I know. I mean, you couldn't. You just flap around
Listen,
there.
listen. Now I'm intrigued. Listen. Link in bio. Oh, okay, cool. Listen, let's
Walt's
go.
about to pay $1
Yeah,
for
I'm
that.
about to pay. I'm about to pay $1. If you've only got 1 toe, I'm paying $1 per toe here. I'm just saying. Just saying. Besides that, we know a guy. We're talking about him right now. He's into feet pics, I'm sure. He pooped on a girl.
Yeah, he's totally into like all that stuff. Like feet pic, like he would poop on your feet. It'd be great.
Hey, good for you. You live your best life.
Best
Anywho,
life.
so I don't know, man. You really think that like they're just gonna have a blowover phase with this and just see what happens?
I think that's what they're hoping for, at least. I don't think that Brock. Truthfully, I think this just gets settled, and she gets her other two. It's like everything else with Vince McMahon. Like this is the shocking part because they went into like the gory details of all the perversion, but like this is gonna blow over, and like there are worse accusations. Like there are rape accusations. That shit is fucking terrible. This is like, hey, I was in a consensual relationship and he pooped on me, and then he didn't pay me to keep quiet, so I'm gonna talk about it. Like this is like less than some of the other accusations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think that in reading the details, I think, and this is a piece that I'm glad that you mentioned it because I don't think that we talked about this when we started, really rolling down the hill on this. But we both believe this to have been some sort of consensual relationship.
Yeah. At
And
no point does any of this allege that it was like non-consensual. It seems like there was consent, and when there wasn't, she was made to sign an NDA, right?
But I don't understand.
Like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't understand how, if this is the civil case, how we're suing on the grounds of sex trafficking. Like that's the whole.
So I don't either.
That doesn't make sense to me.
I don't either, and I'm not a and maybe Connecticut state law has some sort of clause in it where like the Mad Men thing of like passing a secretary around the office, which is it's horrifying and it's terrible, and I it's not something that I'm like, but it doesn't sound, it's not like sex to me. That's not what sex trafficking is. You know what I mean? You're not like selling people into sex slavery necessarily. It just doesn't, I mean, unless like you had said that Vince was like big pimping, unless something like that is considered sex trafficking, even though whomever is being exploited for their activities consensually is being paid for it.
Maybe there has to be some sort of criminal complaint attached to this, to the civil and the state. Who knows? It's just a weird little wrinkle.
Right. You're right.
I've not had a chance to like really try to wrap my head around. So I don't know. I do agree with your assessment that this is probably eventually going to get settled out of court. She's probably going to end up with, instead of her 2 million, she's probably going to end up with fucking like 12 million. And she wins and has to suffer a little bit of public embarrassment.
But she's got $12 million. Like
she's got $12 million. So, 13 really of Vince McMahon's money.
I feel like with $13 million, you could suffer public embarrassment somewhere a little more remote. And
I'll be embarrassed for $5. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. So interesting. I'm just kind of scrolling the Facebook here.
I could be pooped on for $3 million. You could poop on me for $3 million.
No way.
I wouldn't have to work anymore ever. $3 million? You kidding me?
Could you finish blowing Johnny Ace while?
That's a good point. No, probably not. Okay. Probably not. Not without throwing up.
Good talk. Hey, so obviously that's real shitty news for WWE, and
He says.
I hope that they are able to work through this rather quickly, and it doesn't have too much effect on the product. However, it has been said today that Ari Emanuel has suggested that he may eliminate Vince's personal team. My question for you on that is, does that include Triple H?
That's the hard question, isn't it? I mean, it definitely includes Bruce Pritchard.
Yes.
Shit, I don't know, because that would be terrible. That would be awful.
It would be that would be product changing.
Well, and man, that would be the worst. That would be the worst thing that would happen. That could happen from this, right? That would be the worst thing. Because Triple H is not like, clearly he's a Vince guy because he's married to his daughter, but he's probably also, because he's married to Vince's daughter and has been for so long, he's been kept out of that weird pervert bubble. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And as far as we know, actually, Triple H is a very big family man. Like, he is like,
yes,
and he's always been kind of a like very straight edge, business oriented kind of guy. Like, he's been the clear head. He's been the clear head in the room. He's been the guy who has been sort of uncorrupted, so to speak, by all of this. But he's also been the anti-establishment guy, right? And now the anti-establishment guys now run the show. So, but and in addition to that, does that, does if it means Triple H, it also means Shawn Michaels?
Does it though?
It absolutely does. They're going to replace those guys with lackeys or whomever. Like,
I don't think you can afford to eliminate Triple H.
I don't think you can afford to eliminate Triple H or Shawn Michaels, either of those guys at this point. Like, you need people in charge who know the business. And
like, you just spent like $10 billion or whatever the fuck it was to merge with WWE. Like, you're not
$5 billion.
You're not gonna fucking shoot yourself in the foot.
You're not gonna fire the guys that you paid the $5 billion for. Like, those are the guys. Like, that's the point. They're the point.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
there's
I agree. I'm just saying.
No, and I, because Ryback said that too today, and he's an idiot.
Well,
so
he's a fucking moron. So
it seems like that's a bad decision, and those guys were not named, like, at all. Like, okay, I would hope the worst possible scenario is the loss of Brock Lesnar, and like the sort of, not erasure necessarily, but just sort of like the hard end to his legacy, right? If it just comes to a hard boom, that's it. We don't see Brock Lesnar anymore. Brock Lesnar's gone. Like, we could still see him in, like, if you go and watch.
Hey, they took him out of the For the Numbers video package too.
I'm just right. That's what I'm saying. Is like I feel like worst case scenario is like the hard stop on Brock Lesnar, because I feel like Brock's still got another couple of years of good shit to give us, right? Not to, couple years of good stuff to give us. And
that's good shit, pal.
We're gonna miss on that, but hopefully that's the worst case scenario, because, like I said, like you said, if we lose Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and like, I mean, the product's just gonna fall apart, right? Because there's like, oh well, they're Vince guys, but yeah, they're also the guys that know the business.
Yes,
and the wrestling business is different. Like. I don't know.
Ask Tony Khan.
Yeah, like Nick Khan can't run like he can't book a show. He's just there to be the numbers for. Yeah, no, he's there to be a numbers guy. Like, there's guys to book the show, and Triple H has guys under him. He has the road dog. He's got guys who are wrestlers under him to help book the shows. Dean Malenko and the road dog and lots of other guys. Like, You got to keep those guys because they know what they're doing. Clearly they know what they're doing. You got to keep those guys. You get rid of the guys who are the old perverted bastards. You get rid of Vince. Johnny Ace is already gone. They already knew all of this, though, by the way. That's why Johnny Ace was already gone. That's why we've not heard hide nor hair of Bruce Pritchard. That's why.
I mean, he's still there every week.
Yeah, for now. I think Bruce goes. I think Bruce takes it. Bruce goes away.
I believe that too.
And but somebody could do what Bruce does. They could pull somebody in. I mean, they might have to tap Bischoff or somebody like that to fill the Bruce role. But
Eric won't do it. He's adamant against working in the wrestling business again.
All right, but I'm just saying
he just wants to make money off of it.
But I don't think
it's fine. He can continue to do that.
But I don't think we can lose. I don't think you lose Paul Heyman. You know what I mean? You don't lose guys like that. Maybe Paul Heyman takes a step back instead of being the wise man. Maybe he just fills Bruce Pritchard's role.
Doubt it.
No, I doubt it too. But if we lose Brock, we lose Bruce Pritchard too. That's kind of the I think worst case scenario. Hopefully, for the fans, we lose out on Brock.
Yeah,
I don't know how much good input Bruce Pritchard has anymore, other than kind of being the guy in Vince's ear. So maybe some of those stupid, cringy segments go away.
I don't know. Maybe it's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out moving forward. As far as what happens inside of TKO, as far as what happens inside the courtroom. Obviously, it's definitely something we're going to keep our ear to the ground on. So, hey, man, I'd say that we're in a pretty good place here. This discussion is TBD, so. Match of the week, bud.
Sorry to pull the rug out from under you because I know we'd already talked about this. Match of the week's Women's Rumble. Loved it.
Absolutely.
Loved it.
Mine
every
too.
second of it. Yeah. Loved every second of it. It was
phenomenal piece of business.
By far, it was start to finish the best hour and 10 minutes of wrestling you can watch this week. And I watched all of it. So
Nia Jax looked like $1 million. Jordan Grace looked like $1 million. Jade Cargill looked great. Becky looked great. Bayley, obviously, fucking superstar. Plenty of things to play with coming out of that. Moving into Mania season. Yeah,
really looked good. There were 30 women went into that Rumble, and all 30 women are better for coming out of that Rumble. Even Chelsea Green didn't get chucked so quickly, although they teased the shit out of it, and that was great. So, yes. That was from start to finish. That was the best women's Rumble that's ever happened. And it was one of the best Rumbles, period.
No argument out of me, pal.
Best women's Rumble that ever happened. I don't think that we need to argue. I mean, it was an hour and 10 minutes of the best wrestling on television this week.
Good.
So
it was great. It was great.
Sorry to undercut you, but I mean, we both agree it was the best piece of business that happened this week, and it was an hour and 10 minutes long, and all of it was great.
Fantastic from start to finish. Kudos. All right.
Never booked it.
Nope.
Thumbs way up.
Great.
Do that more.
All right. Well, we're gonna pack it up. Hey, check us out over on Twitter and Instagram at @1_fall WC. That's ONE. Hey, if you're hanging out with us, please hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate you. If you're listening to us anytime, anywhere, thank you so very much. And with all that being said, thanks for hanging out. It's all love. We'll catch you next week. Maybe Derek will be here. Probably not.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Fall WrestleCast. Rollins called out Cody on Raw.
Yeah, he did.